a hot day at the studio. Hot day at the studio. Okay, we're recording there, we're recording there. Let's get this going. Currently at 101 17th Studios, where I'm in kind of the makerspace area slash post-production video editing area. And located at 101 East 17th Street in LA. It's a great creative spot. Come through. That's why you'll probably see some people back there. Let's get into this. I'm gonna rock into the session real quick. Here we go. All right. So, first things first. When we started this song, we wanted to make it very liquidy. And so that's where these first few instruments kind of came from, was that liquid area. But obviously we wanted to make it different than Break the Surface, which is not out at the time that I'm making this, but it'll be out at some point. And that one, I would say the beginning is even a little bit even more waterier, but it's like the water of the surface, whereas this is we're under the water, and that's kind of the vibe we're trying to bring. So first synth, we've got Vital with this patch Wirelessness. I don't know about it, but it sounds great. Let me solo this real quick. So here we've got Vital. Very, very light back there. Oh yeah. Nice and light. Oh, you know what? To truthfully start from where we started in the thought process, we've got to go back to this bass line right here. The bass in Serum. We're just going to solo that because it was the base of everything, because I wanted to make sure that the chords went very slowly. I wanted this to be able to sit and marinate in a feeling for a while before moving to that next chord, because so many of the songs that I work on, they kind of move through chords very quickly. And I wanted this to be slow, and I felt like a lot of the liquid D&B that I was listening to had very slow chord progressions. So really, realistically, the first thing that was made was the bass line. So let's play it in here because it's got some motion. Very light at first. And then right there we get to kind of full volume. And I think one thing that was really integral in this was all these bends. So at the end of each note, we would have some overlap, and it was a little bit of this, it's just allowing it to take a fall, you know? It's not just staying on that first note and then moving to the second note, it's falling into the second note. And of course that is achieved by having your portamento on, your legato on, and your mono on, especially for the bass. And this one is specifically at 337 milliseconds, but I always adjust to taste. And I really love this little dip right before the end. We just move down and then move right back up, and I think that it really sets the tone for the rest of it. So I'm gonna move into here, where we've got kind of our third layer that starts the song, and this third layer is the Wavestate. It's the Wavestate synth. It's one of my favorite synths that I've used on dozens, if not almost every track that I produce. It's got very organic sounds, very textural sounds, but also I just love playing around with the spaciousness and creating bends and whatnot with it. So that's exactly what this one kind of starts with, is a bend. And then it kind of slowly comes right back down to that end. And then that moves into the next kind of like little bendy thing. And so at that time, we also have another one of these bends. But instead of being up at that higher register, it's down at that lower register. And that other Wavestate recording is kind of setting that high floating string sound that it's bringing a little bit of tension, but it's also bringing a kind of soaring feeling. So this is what we've got in the beginning. Cool, and then right here, halfway through, we get the addition of this, which is a labs instrument, which is another one of these ones that really helped to bring a feeling in. So let's get into there. Let's follow that automation. So we see that the labs gain right there is all the way down, slowly coming up. It's bringing in just that. It's a bell swarm, so just a little bit of bells, kind of ringing kind of, not randomly, but all over the place. And I love injecting randomness into songs because it always helps to bring that human feeling forward. And then it kind of just ducks away. And it does come back for the last area here, but for most of the song, it's just that intro that gets the bell swarm, and it's something that I really wanted to save for special moments. Here, you know, obviously we've got automation going on here. In the beginning, we wanted to kind of build slowly, so we've got various things slowly building, rising up. At this time, at this kind of like we've gone through one time through the chord progression, we bring in a little loop here. Yeah, a little bit of a, you know, just adding a little bit of percussion. I really liked these hats, and so I just went with it. So we get the bell swarm, we get the addition of the hi-hats. The bell swarm, I don't think there's anything on it. Yeah, it's just a limiter. Let's see. Everything else that I've gone through has really just had EQs and compressors on it for sidechain. Because obviously once we get to the kick coming up soon. Time is always shifting. It's not enjoying the workload that it's dealing with right now. So we're just gonna have to kind of deal with this. And then we'll get into the mix, which will get a lot of the more technical stuff. Because really this song only has a few different layers. Time is all. We get the addition of that kick, which obviously has a side chain that's controlling the bass and the other pads. We also get the addition of this pad during this moment. This is one of my favorite ones because there's a lot of motion here. Portal is doing its amazing job as a randomizer of little pieces that's throwing everywhere, and it's creating just this really amazing texture that I love. Then that's going through the one knob pumper, which is creating that pumping motion. We've got a little bit of an EQ curve there. Then on top of the one knob pumper, we've got the sidechain compressor, just in case, you know, sometimes we're not going to be going in that, which actually we're not going to be doing it for the most part. So we need both of those because I wanted that pumping motion, but I also wanted that feeling of being sidechained to the kick. And then that's really it. We've got the movement. Oh, and then of course this combination of sounds here. We've got one pitch down, and one pitched up. One kind of higher up pitch-wise, and then one down there. And I'm pretty sure these were from the Wavestate, if I'm not mistaken. These were a Wavestate ARP that I was messing with. And obviously, in this version, this was the production track, so all of the vocals are completely raw, almost. And then I brought in this JViews loop that is definitely a little faster than it usually would be. But yeah, that's what brings us into the next spot. And then I wanted that to kind of turn into the tick, 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 tick. So I just kept that tick, 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 tick. We just kind of like moved it forward and double timed that piece until it was at the speed that I wanted. I'm gonna turn off the vocals for now because they're really loud. Cool. So obviously, you know, I've got a because I'm using OBS right now, I've got a lot of glitching going on. That wasn't happening during the production of this, but here we've just got kind of a rehashing of what we've already got, kind of putting everything together here, adding a little bit more motion in the bass line. Going up, then down, moving down again. Still following that same chord progression, just adding a little bit more movement and more grumble, because we've got a little bit more, the hot cutoff is higher there. On top of that, we've got our drums that are changing. We've got that kind of normal drum and bass feel, liquid drum and bass feel. We've got that high snare, and yeah, I loved the feeling of it. So, and then right here, we've got these little chops, and that's the ARP from before. That's that ARP that was right here, and it just cut up to become a rhythmic piece. And then I don't think we add any other high percussion except, like I said, we've got this guy, which has been double timed from that piece right there into this very quick hat. And then this, which was already introduced, which is kind of like a more, and you get that kind of higher one, that tick, 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 tick. Together, it's just some beautiful movement. Honestly, yeah, that's most of it. We've got these kind of pitch movements in the bass before moving up to the next section. But yeah, a lot of this song was taking those same pieces and automating them throughout the song so that things stayed fresh, or maybe there was more space for the vocals in some places, or less space, meaning it was more stuff going on at some points. So yeah, it really just was all these different, these same things kind of over and over, these same instruments over and over, except for the bridge, my favorite part. Let's go into that bridge, because it's kind of my favorite part. So basically, we get into that settle. Settle down, just settle. Oh, and then those things that you're hearing in the background, these things, I think, I ended up taking them out on the mix, but they were originally just a slam that came from Jesse's recording, and I kept it in because I liked the rhythm, but then I didn't later. But so we got our kick goes down to like a boom, boom, boom. And as you can see, we start this Serum reverb. That's going to be controlling the reverb of this synth that's going to be kind of like slowly making its way into our ears. Settle, stay around. So here we've got, it goes from being really reverby to less reverb. Now once everything kind of moves out, it starts to do the reverb motion because we've started to get the rhythm. We got and to give some backstory, Jesse really wanted this part to feel really chaotic and like the opposite of settled. So the opposite of settled being chaotic. And so that's where a lot of this came from. A lot of this movement in the automation and the reverb, trying to kind of make it confusing as to where are we, and making just that ground a little less stable. Whereas we had created a very stable ground with those slow chord progressions and that bass that was very predictable, the drums that were pretty predictable. Now we're in a space where everything's a lot less predictable and we don't really have a ground to stand on. And now this is the other part where we get the bells coming back in here. So yeah, for this little moment here, we pull back everything, let that synth that's coming in kind of grow, and moving up, the high frequencies are being opened up, and the reverb is being opened up sporadically. And so it's going to sound a little different in the mix than the final mix because this is just the production. But yeah, pulled everything back there to really make some space. And here's one of my little fun sounds that is a custom sound, and I don't know if it made it into the last one, but you guys get to experience it. Anyway, so yeah, we've got that. This is a integral part. I think I loved it. It became a big part of these pieces here. And so I wanted to create spaces where there was a lot of things and then nothing, and then, you know, we're moving back and forth in a kind of a sporadic manner. So that's where this bass line came from, is I didn't want to start on steady ground. I wanted to start on something that felt really off. And so that's why we start with that C. This synth was off, so I put the semitone down, but it is a C. So we've got that bass coming through here. Oh, I guess it's a B. B up to C. So the other one was the one that was messed up. This high synth is messed up. But yeah, it's B up to C. A lot of synths going on here. In this one pattern, we've got basically everything from the breakdown except the automation and except that kind of high synth that has the sporadic reverb. So you can see we've got those kicks on just about every time that the bass hits, except for that second one there, because I wanted it to be like almost like a little fake out. And then we've got this guy that does the don't. He's just staying on one note, and the automation is creating those pitch bends. Oh, we got an ambulance outside. So yeah, we get a different snare, a snare that makes it a little bit more intense. We've got a different kick pattern. This is what happens when you don't have the reverb settings. And then we've got this kind of bass turnaround in there that just kind of like, yeah, turns us around. And then this gives us that kind of like move up towards that second section. We get some hats. Yeah, and a lot of the instruments are the same. Like this, the high synth. In the second half, it goes a little bit crazier, but it's mostly keeping that dun, 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 you know, keeping it, giving us some sort of stability, as well as with the hi-hats, so that we're kind of locking onto something a little bit more solid before moving back into the settle, because we really wanted to build it up. I didn't want to get out of this space yet, but started taking that sporadic synth out there, as you can hear, and then we kind of move up, exploding into that final chorus, that downbeat of the final chorus, with the hi-hats, the bells finally back in, and the bass pads and everything just right back in there, same as the other chorus. Yeah, is there anything else that's interesting? Oh, the Shaperbox. This synth has a lot of Shaperbox on it, I believe. Yeah, we've got a time, which gives it that, you know, So this is part of the automation that is not in the actual automation. It's technically not automation, but it's like LFO based. So I love Shaperbox because it gives you all these different amounts of time and different parameters and different things that you can map to different LFOs. So like in time, I've got it on 2 bars, and it's just giving a little bit of a slight, like, at the end of every 2 bars. With volume, I've got it kind of ducking every quarter note. With the pan, it's going back and forth over the span of 1 bar. And then with the reverb, it's opening up just a little bit over the span of, 4 bars. And so that's creating a lot of motion in that one synth. We don't have the same motion on anything else, I believe. Settle down. Here we've got, of course, a white noise sweep. Just OSC with the random on, with a frequency cutoff filter on the channel. Yeah, it's a pretty straightforward song. Very slow chords, just a few instruments playing those chords, a lot of automation, and a few recorded tracks to kind of set the tone. And yeah, let's get into the mix now. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about the production, and I can make a video going over that question.